So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second lesson of this course. Now, in this lesson, as I told you in the conclusion of the previous lesson, we're going to be discussing about the different types of thumbnails that you can create. Now, I don't want to bore you with analyzing every single different small type of thumbnail that you can create, because at the end of the day, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be wanting to intrigue viewers to click on our video by making a promise that is kept throughout the video, right? In order to do this, pretty much, as you can imagine, there are two ways to achieve this. Either by having thumbnail wise, right? A random thumbnail, just a photograph with a very intriguing title, or designing a thumbnail that looks more professional and just increases, let's say, the perceived value that the viewer will get once they click on your video. Now, I don't think that we need to focus in this course right here on having random thumbnails like the cone-shaped one that we analyzed in the previous lesson, because these just come down into you being creative and applying just, again, a random photograph with a cool title just to intrigue the viewers to click on your video, and then it's up to you to keep the promise throughout the video. All right, this is a thumbnail design course, and what we're going to be doing in this lesson right here is that we're going to be going through the Canva template that I have attached in the discussion of this course for you to access completely for free. And we're going to be analyzing the different types of thumbnails that exist inside this Canva template. Now, again, in future lessons, I'm going to show you how to edit thumbnails and edit photographs and create thumbnails, right? Regardless of the Canva template that I'm going to be attaching. And then, of course, I'm also going to show you how to create thumbnails with this Canva template. But I think that this Canva template perfectly elaborates and showcases, right, the different types of thumbnails that exist and that you can apply to your video work. So let's go through, again, the different templates that I have inside this downloadable resource. So this, for example, is the first template right here. And I know it looks very basic, but it's really not. This is a comparative, let's say a comparison thumbnail. So in this thumbnail, you have image one that will go in this side right here. And don't worry about all the different features of Canva. We're going to be discussing about them later on. But you have one image here, usually the second image in the middle, and the third image on the right. And I'm going to show you also how these thumbnails will look like once they're completely created. But this is a template. So for you, you need to add one image here, a second image here, and a third image here. No titles, no text whatsoever, combined with an awesome title. And by the way, I'm going to be showing you some title recommendations that you can follow in order to combine these thumbnails right here, right? And make a perfect combination of a TNT, a title and a thumbnail. So this right here, for example, is the first thumbnail type that you can create, a comparative thumbnail of 3 different images. This video, for example, could be titled A Day in the Life of a, and then you add your niche. So a day in the life of a content creator, or a day in the life of a tennis player. And you have 5 a.m., what you do in 5 a.m. when you wake up, or 10 p.m. or something, 10 a.m., or then you have lunch, and then you have something that you do during the night. Again, you want to intrigue the viewers, so you just add cool images in section 1, section 2, section 3. Right? And you can see that this is not a randomly designed template. You have the perfect length of those lines that, again, separate the thumbnail. And then in the background, you also have this grid thing that highlights the middle of the thumbnail. These were purposefully made this way. This thumbnail was purposely made this way, this template, for you to find optimal success. The next one is, for example, this. Again, a comparative thumbnail of 2 images, right? So, for example, this could be a video titled, How I Managed to Elevate My Health in 12 Months. And in this section of the thumbnail, you could have you being sick, for example. In this section of the thumbnail, you could be you being very strong and working out, and combined with a good title, this could intrigue the viewer. So this is, again, a comparative thumbnail of 2 different images. Moving on, again, the exact same thing, but this line is, let's say, has a slight angle. This line doesn't have an angle. Again, comparative thumbnail, you get the point. You get multiple thumbnails in this template right here. And again, a comparative thumbnail of 3 with 2 lines that are not angled. Very simple, very basic. You get the point. This right here is a more, let's say, sophisticated or complicated thumbnail. But again, I've tested this in my channel and it works absolutely perfect. Now, these are titles. Again, all of these can be manipulated once you enter the template that I'm going to be giving you. So all of this can be manipulated. You can change these to whatever you want. And I'm going to show you how to change them and how to tweak them and all that stuff. At this point, I'm just going to elaborate on the design of the thumbnail. And of course, later on, I'm going to show you how to manipulate it and change it and all that stuff. So right here, you have the image of the main subject of the thumbnail. And this Again, we're going to be replacing to one of our images. And this usually, this thumbnail right here would apply to a video in which we're discussing on a 5-step process. So for example, 5 steps to become more wealthy in 2025, or my 5-step routine to gain more muscle in 2025. And if I would name this video my 5-step routine to gain more muscles in 2025, I would just delete these, right? And just have a 5-step routine and me being muscular in the middle of the thumbnail. And again, you can see that the background is also this background right here, which would help. And I'm going to show you some ways, okay, again in next lesson of this course, to shoot photographs of you wearing clothes that are more contrasty than the background of your videos. And that's also very important. So this is again a thumbnail in which you elaborate on a 5-step process, and you can see that the graphic designs are just on point. This image right here of the 5-step process is on point. It's the graphic design work on this is absolutely amazing. Again, another thumbnail in which you elaborate on, let's say this could be a wellness video. You can see that it elaborates on, for example, mindfulness, house, income, savings, networking, and of course, all of these can be changed in the future. I'm going to show you how to change all these, right? So I'll change all of these icons to whatever icon you want using, of course, the templates in Canva. But again, same thing, the subject in the middle, and then you have some icons going on, right? So this is, well, we can edit this. And again, I'm going to show you like how to edit it in future lessons. Let's not bother with this for now. And again, you can click on this, start unlocking it and editing all of the thumbnails inside here and all of the aspects. I'm going to show you how to do this in the next lessons. Again, here, this is usually a thumbnail, for example, for more, let's say, finance YouTube channels in which you have this growing line of, again, stocks growing or audience growing, followers growing. This could indicate money also. So you get to just edit this. For example, if you don't want the $1 million sign in the background, you can edit this out and you can have, again, your subject in the middle of the frame. And again, in the background, you have this exponential growth of a stock. This, again, intrigues the viewers because the graphic design work right here is absolutely awesome. And again, we have, let's say, ourselves in the middle. Right here, also, this is another type of thumbnail that you can have. A thumbnail indicating something, let's say, negative, which inspires, let's say, subconsciously a fear of people not knowing the information that led to this person losing $250,000, for example. And again, all of these can be changed. You do not need to have a finance YouTube channel to apply this, right? I'm just saying that these templates are made with, like, say, a finance YouTuber in mind. But again, you could delete this and add something else as a title here. But you can see that the fonts, the titles, the colors, everything is absolutely awesome. This graphic design template of this stock going down, you can see that it's more dark here and more bright here. All of these are designed, again, to drive more eyeballs to your thumbnail. And it works. It's proven because it's a resource coming from one of the best YouTubers at the moment. Again, the exact same thing with this graph growing exponentially, but in the top left, you also have more information. And you can see how amazingly the information blends with our main subject, which at this point is positioned in the middle of our frame. And you will see in later templates that the subject doesn't always need to be positioned in the middle of the frame. You can position him left, right, and all that stuff, right? Moving on, again, here you compare two different things. This, for example, guy compares Bitcoin with Shopify. But in your case, you could compare to different screen recording software if you have a channel around screen recording, or to social media destinations. And you can see that, again, the graphic design work here is absolutely amazing. And guess what? Once you have like 2 or 3 or 5 different images of you shot perfectly for thumbnails, and you can just keep copying and pasting them and copying and pasting them to all of the templates, right? So you have all of these thumbnails ideas, right? So this is just another thumbnail I'm going to be giving you in the sheet. Here you can see that finally we have our subject in the left part of the screen, and in the right part we have this again graphic design box indicating multiple impressions, right? And again, you can tweak this, you can write whatever you want, and this thumbnail just indicates growth, right? Big subject in the left part of the screen, and then we indicate growth with this part, which is cool. Again, the same thing on the right side of the screen, we have our subject, and in the left side we have bank balance or whatever, and you can tweak all of these to whatever we want. That's also an amazing graphic design template. The same here with not bank balance, but with just another illustration of growth. So we can also use this. For example, if you want a thumbnail with your tweets, right? You can have on your left side your subject, and on the right side, your tweet. So you can write whatever you want in your tweet. You can change the image, you can change, let's say, this text, you can change the caption, all of this. So this is, again, if you want to share tweets in your thumbnails, and this is proven that thumbnails in which you share like social media posts or controversial tweets in general tend to perform good, which is amazing. The same thing here with Instagram questions. So if you post a story in Instagram and someone, let's say, ask you a question in the story, you can add this question right here, or like a similar question to someone that asked you on Instagram, and this could also be a thumbnail. Also keep in mind that it looks like the subject is holding this image, and I'm going to show you again how to photograph yourself, and so it looks like you're holding, say, the image of your thumbnail, which is just very cool. Same thing here, subject on the left, and on the right part of the screen, we have our revenue growing. And you can see that the subject overlaps the revenue. This is also something I'm going to show you how to do, right? And here, again, PayPal screenshots. These tend to perform great if you are a finance YouTuber, if you talk about business, if you talk about generating income online, portraying some kind of, again, income generated in those very common payment processing apps, PayPal, Stripe, that stuff. And you can see if I delete Stripe, you can see that we have the PayPal logo. So again, this is just an amazing template. Yeah, so if you just indicate some kind of payment, people tend to recognize PayPal notifications, so they might be intrigued to click on your thumbnail if you also have like an amazing title coming with it, right? Again, this is also one of the thumbnails that I really, really like. It's a thumbnail comparing two stocks, and all of these thumbnails are like amazingly generated and have amazing, let's say, graphics, and obviously it all comes down into adding amazing images of yours. But if you don't combine them with perfect titles, they will simply not work, right? So what we're going to be doing in the next video, right, before we actually launch Canva, we start editing on Canva, and I'm going to show you how to edit like everything regarding thumbnails. In the next lesson, I'm going to just give you some title recommendations to match with the thumbnail templates that I'm going to be giving you again in this course. So in the next lesson, we're analyzing title recommendations. We're going through a title list that is indicated to be used with the templates that I just gave you. And we're also analyzing some basic thumbnail, let's say, metrics, which you can follow and understand the theory on how thumbnails work and why certain thumbnails outperform others before we start firing up Canva and editing thumbnails ourselves, right? So thank you very much. I'm going to see you in the next lesson of this course.